Okay. Hello everyone, welcome in. How are we doing? Hi Willa, hi Mythical, hi Garion. Yo Bo, welcome in. Hi Maze. And for the level ups, hi Time, welcome in. Something Sebe, welcome in. Hello, I'm so ready. Let's go. Hi Bo. Just passing, embarking on my flight for Japan. Oh, let's go. Have a good journey, good travel, Maze. Enjoy. Thanks for stopping by. New build? What do you mean? What do you mean? I forgot to disable the bot. The gambling bot will be disabled for today for the class so that I can have a more controlled environment. Gonna put up one note for this stream. Okay. Love that dedication. Lando, welcome in. Hello. Who else? Building class. Heck yeah. Hey yo Benji, welcome in. How are we doing? Hey Vine, welcome in. Thanks for the level up. I have waited for this so long, you don't even know. Benji, you don't need this. You don't need this, Benji. But glad to have you here. Hope you're doing amazing, friend. How do I get coins? Oh, the redeems, I've also disabled them for today. There are like only the basic level ups redeems on Twitch, so that the VOD stays as clean as possible on YouTube. Hey Timado, welcome in on the YouTube side. We are live on both sides today. They're gonna be a VOD on YouTube? Yes. We are live there as well, so the live stream will stay there, which is also why on Twitch we have reduced amount of redeems. We also have disabled raids on Twitch. Again, for the same reason, I want the stream these 2 to 3 hours to be like focused on the class, focused on the questions that you may have. The level ups are not annoying on Twitch, so I left them there, but the rest of the things, bye-bye. Hey Dingbling, welcome in. Hope you're all doing amazing today. Happy Friday, everyone. Normally daily redeem, but Calvin turns it off sometimes to stop distraction for special streams. Exactly, Bo. Exactly, but yes, tomorrow will be streamed normally, regularly, so coins and everything will be back. I have waited for this all day. You don't know why? Why, Benji? Hey, Diagonal, welcome in. Thanks for the level up. Ishaya, hello. Welcome in. My gambling addiction, I know, I'm sorry. Ask Cucumber, they know how long I waited. For real. I don't know if it's a shock or no. Everyone has to claim their stuff now. Yeah. The level ups will stay though. The level ups stay for today. But yes, the idea for the class today, while we were a couple minutes, he considered streaming 1.5 hour longer to be able to raid you. Oh, I'm glad that you didn't, Benji, because I disabled raids today. Because I feel like the song that I have, I really, honestly, I just need to change my sound alert for the raids. I feel like it's too long. But yeah, just today to do it quicker, I just disabled the raids. But appreciate the thought. Hey, Shul, you're welcome in. Hello, hello. After already having streamed for 7.5 hours. Oh, did you stream this morning for that long? That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of time. How do you even do that? I did that only once, Benji, and it was a lot. Hey, Blair, welcome in. I wanted to build a French pro builder, but he wasn't free. Oh. Mate, indeed. Hey, Cory, welcome in. Hey, man, I've been learning Axiom for the first time, and your tutorials from a few years back have been so helpful. Looking forward to the stream today. Nice. Yeah, today that's what we're gonna be talking about before starting. The 9 to 5. 9 to 5, that is 7 hours. Crazy. I mean, I think that's a good... If I were to do an 8-hour stream, I think that's the time slot that I would choose. Hey Panda, welcome in. Hello, hello. But yes, Cory, I'm glad that you enjoyed the tutorials. Today we are technically. So how this is going to go. I have a plan for the class, right? 9 to 5 is at 8. 9 to 5, that is 8 hours indeed. What time is it on my side? Here it's 3 p.m. To the timetable. We got a rough timetable. Let's jump in game. Let's begin with this. So that we can explain this more better. There's a bit of a spoiler on the top, but not a big spoiler. So the idea is to begin. We have like 3 main things that I would like to go through. I'd be happy if we manage to get these 2. Okay? If we manage to get these 2 today in under the 3 hours, that's fine. This one is more like a filler. If we have some time, we can go a bit through this. And then there's Q&A, questions and answers. We'll have that towards the end, but also the idea is to have a back and forth of questions during this, right? So if any questions arise, feel free to ask them. We can go through them at the moment. If they go too far apart from what we are doing, we may or may not go into those questions. So the idea will be to keep them related to what we are doing. They can go a bit further apart. With that said, the idea is not to get into Axiom today. I have a plan to do one more class dedicated more towards Axiom in the future. However, if any question is Axiom related, of maybe how do I do this with Axiom or something like that, we can get a little bit into that. But it's not going to be full Axiom. The idea for this one is to be more basics. As the title says, from basics to advanced. It's not gonna be very advanced, to be honest. It's gonna be more like how to enter the advanced stages of building. So that's the plan. Ideally, I would like this one to take us 1 hour and maybe 15 minutes. This one more hour with a break in between, clearly. And then we'll dedicate the last part for this. That's it, yeah. Also, dear now, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. Komisi, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome in. Hi, Gabes. Hello. I don't think I said hi. I'm sorry. It's gonna be so entertaining. I hope so. Welcome in, Simplipo. Hello. Where are you from, man? I'm from Argentina, and I have mate. Axiom class. Axiom class in the future. Probably... I don't want to make any promises. Because I have a trip coming next week. I could technically do a class next Friday. But I feel like I'm gonna be very stressed with the preparations for that trip. So probably after when I come back. So in March. Today we do this. Calvin, my first question is, how do I build faster than the speed of light? Well, for that, you just need to do Axiom. Hey, why? Welcome in. Calvin, will the stream be on after it's done? Yes, absolutely, why? I'm streaming it on YouTube as well so that the VOD stays for people to come back and watch at any point. So don't you worry about that. Not bad time today to watch, so watch later. Absolutely, no problem. Yes, 1 hour perfect. Yeah, 1 hour. Hey, don't judge the typos. There we go. 1 hour. Fixed it. Very excited for the stream. Keep going. Thank you, Kusais. Welcome in. We're near each other then. Brazil here. Let's go. Neighbors, basically. Love it. You'll probably saved as a boss, so you should likely be able to rewatch it later. Absolutely. So this now is a lecture. When do we do the labs? What do you mean about the labs? Like something to like build everyone together? That would be nice. That would be a nice thing that I would love to set up at some point. Definitely. Maybe in the future, maybe this year. I want to do more of these things throughout the years, so I'll definitely consider that. As a French, it will end so late. Am I legally? Absolutely, Garion. No worries. Awesome, thank you. No problem. Hey, Anna, welcome in. Can I use this class on my resume to medical school? Probably not. Probably not. You can try, but yeah, won't work. It won't work. Hey, Amir, welcome in. Thanks for the level up. Hope you're doing well. All right, what time are we? Okay, we are 5 minutes in, so we should get starting with this. I'm scared. I don't know why. The Builder's Refuge will be happy to set some kind of space for building. Definitely. We can talk about it. When you have a bunch of us trying, you just go and oversee the progress. Yes. Yes. I would definitely love to do something like that. Definitely. Refuge mentioned. Let's go. Hey, Blades, welcome in. Hello, my friends. So excited. Let's go. What I have planned, spoilers here, it's not just a lecture, as that's the idea. Like, if you wanna like build alongside and try the things, I think that would be the ideal for this. I don't think I will have the time to like look at everyone's build, but you feel free to like, if you're working on something alongside and you have questions, or if you want to share the progress, if you're working on something similar, and if you are in the Discord, you can share the progress there on one of the channels, so we can like have a bit of a follow-up over there for now. But I will definitely consider that in the future, both what Willa says and what Ishaya says. I think that'd be a nice way of approaching this. Admin, welcoming, thanks for the follow. I'm glad you're going to be an hour going over one thing, because most videos I see only take like... Yeah, that's also why I want to do this in this format, because I think here is where I'm allowed to explain in further detail and also address every single question that you have, and then you can always come back and rewatch. So I do like this format. Hey Krish, welcome in. Would like to treat patients with color patterns and building tips. Absolutely. Got my notepad already? Okay. We'll do the rating for our builds later. Yeah, we can do other things. We can do it afterwards. We can have some extra time. Definitely. Does this come on the exam? Is the homework graded? Imagine ruining the thing. So I did have a thought though. Do you need a membership? No. Anyone can be on the Discord. The link should be on the description of the YouTube live stream or on the Twitch page as well. So you are more than welcome to join. Hey, yo, CDAPs, welcome in, ready for my Redstone building class. That comes next year, CDAPs. You are 1 year early. And that was a secret. I had plans to become a Redstone genius this year. But now you spoiled it, CDAPs. Are you ready for the sidetracked? But are you ready for tomorrow, CDAPs? I'm excited. I'm excited to see the end results tomorrow, the final battle. Hoping you to that. Can you imagine? Lord Ixto, welcome in. Hello, everyone. I wanted to say something else. How would a Minecraft building guide book be received? Imagine a PDF with like, I don't know, maybe 50 pages, nothing too long, that basically has everything. Would anyone be interested in following like a textbook for building? I feel like that's too much. But I feel like I have written so many things that I could so easily compile a nice, useful book, maybe. It could be cool to like maybe follow like a video or a tutorial to have it in a text format with pictures and diagrams. I don't know. It was a random idea today, so I'm like passing it through here first before even committing to anything. Hey, I'm Graham, welcome in. Of course, it was just so much fun, never too serious, absolutely. I'm probably going to walk around this build of yours and enjoy that the most. It's gonna be crazy. You have no idea what's coming, CDAPs. Hey, Dead Solo, welcome in. You're the best builder. Thank you, appreciate it. Good idea, you think? Okay. Okay. I'm lagging. Hey, Amoket, welcome in. Is it lagging? Make a Google Docie. I want something a bit more clean, you know? More than a Google Doc, because I have everything like spread out through many Google Docs, so the idea would be to like grab everything, put it together, make it make sense, and yeah, something like that. Really nice. Read it. Buy it for 10k. No, it would be, if I do it, it will be free, maybe, probably. I don't think I have the skill to sell that. For like 2 seconds, could be. Like, it's good now. Like Notion. Back into Minecraft next month. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. Ooh, okay. I wanna see that. Alright, what time are we? Okay. 10 minutes late, that's fine. Should we start? Planning builds. As I said, we are gonna start with planning builds, then we are gonna go to colors and painting, and we'll see if we get to the detailing and surroundings. But I wanna talk a bit about planning builds first, because I think that's the main thing that I see most people struggling with. And not with planning builds, I would say the main struggle when starting, speaking for myself and for, I think, when I was starting building, I think getting the first blocks of a build in place is what takes the longest, or not the longest, or what it's the most difficult to decide of. Where do I start? What block of all this amount do I use? How do I use them? What size? All those type of things I think are probably the hardest to begin with. So I find that planning builds is the one way, I would say, one of the best ways to simplify the beginning. Hey, Krink, welcome in. To simplify the beginnings of a building. In what way? I think planning builds simplifies a building in 2 ways. Simplifies the shape and simplifies, why so below, the color. What do I mean by this? The shape, it simplifies it, because when we are planning a build, the most regular case is to just begin building boxes for which we begin making squares on the floor. You've probably seen this in many of my builds. If you've been around my streams, you know that I always start a build by laying out or some boxes or some shapes before getting to any crazy stuff. Taking notes, Aisin, welcome in. Shamakul and Kusai, welcome in, thanks for the follow. But gambling is fun in class, no crink. No gambling today. So, planning a build, I think, is very important, and I recommend it heavily. If you struggle with starting a build, practicing how to plan with simple shapes is one of the best ways to honestly just get started. It doesn't mean that this is the only and most important way or the best way of building in Minecraft. In fact, in reality, I do not use exactly this method. But if you're starting, if you're struggling with starting, especially when building structures, of course we are talking about building structures here, it is important to be able to plan a bit ahead of time on this scale. It can be done with boxes. It can be done with small cylinders. It's basically breaking down the build in smaller pieces. A 6-block white box, even sentries. Yeah, it's 6-block. It's fine. It's fine. That's a problem. That's a good question. You know what? I know that's a joke, but will actually that brings a good point, I think. Because maybe you are planning, right? This is why planning is important, in my opinion, and doing it with placeholder blocks. As Benji said, this box is a 6-block wide, and we know that building with even numbers tends to be... How to start? Just start. Yo, Shake, welcome in. How are we doing? Exactly. I think this is a way of how to start. Just placing some random blocks without too much pressure. And this is a good point. Like, imagine you don't know how to build with even numbers. It's fine. There are ways to make something like this work. But imagine that you don't realize. So if you do this on the planning, then it's a bit easier to just readapt this and fix those mistakes, if they can be called mistakes. To have, for instance, a 7-block wide here instead of a 6. So it is a bit boring, I will say. It takes a bit more time to build first or to plan first. Only happy accidents, indeed. It takes a bit more time to plan first and then rearrange and then change the colors and then do all that fancy stuff. But it is worth it. And I think regardless if you are going to stick to this method or not, it's worth learning it and practicing it, because I don't know, I feel like it's something that helps and ties back to something that we're gonna see in a second. But it definitely simplifies the shapes. Sometimes you have a complex idea in mind of having maybe, I don't know, a tall tower over here. With a bunch of houses around, so you can figure out the scale of things first by mapping out honestly just very simple squares. I'm gonna move this or more than squares, I should say rectangles. And it doesn't just stop, of course, on the planning of the rectangles. You can also begin planning the roof shapes. Did I do this one? No, this one's fine. So you can begin planning the roof shapes, learning how they are going to fit, begin filling things in also to see better how things are going to look. Hey Tessa, welcome in. How are we doing? Hey Fabled, welcome in, welcome in. We are on the planning stages. So, planning. Simplify the shapes. Any questions regarding that? While I drink some of my beautiful mate. Of course, this applies to every scale, right? I'm doing something quickly on a small scale just to show you how you can begin placing some blocks and fixing around, really. Fixing around the shapes, seeing how everything's gonna work. If it makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, especially when you don't have like any clear guide of exactly what you want, just placing stuff around tends to be a very good way of starting a build. If you make a not so good shape, can you compensate it with detail? So, I think no. I think the short answer for that is no. You can hide mistakes with details, so it's not a strict no. But what I understand for a not so good shape is perhaps something that is out of scale. So there's something that shows what you're gonna teach. So yes, we are gonna be teaching these three things. Planning builds first, colors and painting, and then we'll dedicate more to questions and answers. Basically, I think that's gonna be the thing that we're gonna be teaching. And yeah, I'm gonna show you a couple things that I have prepared over there. Really that you teach to build. Thank you, welcome in. So let's give an example of what I would think is not maybe a good shape, because that's relative. But let's suppose that you are building, as I said, let's say this is a tower, right? Let me do something quickly here so we can like close this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See this, I made a mistake here, that is fine. This is what I would consider perhaps a not so good shape. Let's say in your build, this tower is supposed to be like a massive center mega tower. And then in comparison to everything else, it's basically the same size. That will be failing, I think, on the shape department, right? If you want this to be a massive tower, then you would need to make a massive tower. You will need to get the scales and maybe the shapes a bit better from the beginning. And I don't think there's any detailing that you can add to it to make it feel the way that you want it to feel. If that makes sense. You make it look easy, and when I try to build it, shut up doing garbage. It's a lot of practice. All these things is a lot of practice. That's why I insist in like, why did I did this one wrong? Let me fix that. That's why I insist in like breaking down the methods of building and be a bit more like organized, maybe, if that makes sense. At least to try and improve. This is to me the essential step. When you begin to like break down the builds into a more... I think, is the Twitch stream working? I think we're having the YouTube live stream issue again. I do not like that. More manageable steps. Yes. Is the stream fine? Is it not lagging for anyone? Because I'm seeing some statistics there that I don't like. Basically, break it down into more manageable steps. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's the idea. Don't know how to do more details in extension stream. Is fine for me. Okay. I don't know why it says that it's broken, but it's okay. Okay. It might be a bit delayed, I think. I think it's a bit delayed. But as long as it's fine. Because I haven't done the multi-streaming in a while. And I know I had some issues in the past with it, so I am slightly concerned about it, but we'll figure it out. I want to learn how to do more details in extensions and building a castle for the first time. Okay. When would you use a different block? Good question. So, let's readapt this. Let me finish this big tower to prove that point, but what I will say using different blocks, it really depends on how separated you want the parts of your build to be, right? So in general, I just use different placeholder blocks. The basic is walls with diamonds, roofs with gold. That's like what I tend to do most of the time. Hey King, thanks for the max level. Hey Doggy, hey Guido, welcome in. When are we learning dragons? Oh, I would need a Banshee tutorial for that, or Deep Sky Miner tutorial for that. Not my forte, organics. But the basic would be that, right? Walls with one block, roof with another. Now, nothing stops you from saying, okay, let's separate this other roof because it's bigger with another block. You can certainly do that as well. Sometimes it's recommended because this roof can be different. And I will say perhaps if you have a bigger structure, if you're working on a castle, for instance, you would like to separate clearly the walls, like the exterior walls of the castle. Imagine that this is the castle, right? With another block. That would be a good idea to do so. And if your castle has multiple levels, I would also separate that. Like maybe the houses that are underneath will be with another color, the houses that are in the middle, you will use another placeholder and do stuff like that. Since when do I do organics? You're amazing with organics. Fishy, what are you talking? Fishy, Banshee, what are you talking about? Does I make a say they are red and details? It's a dragon. And it works for you. Which is amazing. Great tutorial. Yep. You have to try castle again. So many more blocks have been added since the last time I attempted it. Oh, definitely. I think in general, any part of a build that for you feels different. Let's say I want to add a diagonal tower here. Going here in that way. And I want this to be separated in color from everything else. Then just go with that. If you feel like the build that you're working, that you're adding, is different enough from the rest, just go ahead and choose a different block type. I go for the diamond blocks, the gold, the resin, and this, because they are very vibrant and very easy to count. But you can also use the wool colors. And again, this is not like the only method. I know there's people that can already visualize their build and be like, oh, I know that my build is going to be using walls of spruce and a roof of moss. So you can start with this. But in my case, to me, this is more difficult because it requires more like visualizing the build before starting, and I'm not good with that. So I'd rather just focus on the shape, simplify the color choice just by not worrying about it. And then once I'm happy with the shape, I can switch and be like, okay, which colors would go well with this? Right, so this is to me a recommended way, and I think for people that are learning and that want to maybe improve on how they do structures, I would say it's a good way of making a larger build more manageable, as Tessa said. Thank you, Guido. Finally back, thank you for teaching us. Hey, Dosho, thank you. 1 second of lag, literally unwatchable. I'm subbing. No, Shake! Come back. I use the colors I will use in the end. That's what I mean. I'm showing these ways. This is not by any means the only way of building. This is not the only way of building. This is maybe a way to break it down. This is maybe a good practice or a good exercise. It's not the most efficient either. This will take you more time to do so. So definitely keep it in mind. Practice it because it's good, but don't take this as a strict rule that you need to follow every single time. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But again, many people have many different styles. It's definitely worth giving it a try, at least, I would say. But if you already know which blocks you're gonna use, by all means, you can use that. And now I'm just gonna finish some of these roofs because I kinda like how it's looking, so I might turn this into an actual build at the end of in the future, but for now, let's plan some of these. That. Hey Hoof, welcome in. How are we doing? Hey Brune. Building class. Can you repeat all the steps from the start? Let's go here. No worries, FB. The VOD will stay on YouTube. And I think on YouTube you actually can go back and watch. So that's also nice while the stream is live. But we'll see everything. What time are we? Okay, we are good with time. If I'm going too fast with something, please let me know. I don't know what is too basic sometimes and what is not. That's shocking. No, I know. But you know, for anyone worrying that the beginning was missed, it's gonna be there. Yoshio, welcome in. I'm in the same boat. Alvin once said, if he can make it look good with the simple colors, then he knows it will look good with the real colors. It is true. That is something that I said, and I think it's a good parameter. Like, if the shape looks good to you with these random colors, then it's gonna likely look good, or decent at least, with the other colors. But to make something look good with this, the importance is the scale. The scale of the things. It needs to make sense when it's all together. Hey Bear, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. I'm in the same boat. I missed Hoof's message. Why not use blocks with stairs walls for planning? Okay, that's a good question. I actually do use... I'm not gonna finish this, or will I? Yeah, let's finish this. I actually do use blocks with stairs. It's not a bad idea, it's actually a really good idea. As I said, I don't even use exactly this method for building myself nowadays. I kinda use a bit of a variation from it, which is exactly that. Okay, this shape is all wrong. I can fix that later. So let's take a look at this one. And this is a build that I've been working on recently. The planning was different than that, because it was following a reference image. We'll get into it in a bit. What I like to use is diamonds and prismarine as the detailing or small shaping blocks, and wart as like the smaller type of blocks if I need trapdoors and such. So I do use this color combination for the blocks, but I think this is a bit more advanced. Like if you're starting, I would recommend start with full blocks. The next step would be to use the smaller blocks for the shaping. Then of course the resin has all the variants, which is why I use it. And I also use endstone. I use gold with endstone to plan that. So those are like the three main blocks that I use for the planning before the painting. So yes, I do use it, but it would be a good idea to use maybe matte bricks as a block because it has all the other variants. But again, I like these strident colors because I can then visualize and count the shapes more easily than if I use something like this. Coins and TTS, yeah, I got rid of them because I don't want random noises, basically. Hey Bolt, welcome in. Question, how would you do terrain with modeling tool and doing big planes? I really try to learn myself. Maybe you have some tips. I do have, but today we are gonna focus more on structures and simple building. I do plan to make more of an axiom class, but maybe we'll have to even do a separate one for terraforming in the future. I think terrain goes a bit too far from what we are gonna be doing today, sadly. The point you were trying to prove with the tower again, I didn't catch it earlier because of some buffering. So the point is, someone asked about detailing, right? If with detailing you can fix some of the some bad shaping, you can to some extent, but what I would maybe consider bad shaping is something like this, where this tower is like very bland, like it's very large, but it doesn't have any like shape variation in it. It's just a cylinder. It's just a cylinder with a cone on top. That is something that I don't think with detailing you can fix. Also, well, this cylinder is wrong because I did it very quickly and it's broken somewhere. So what I will do here, let's see, where is it? This is 3, 6, this is 7. Okay, so we can just grab this, move it to the side, bloop. So I will focus, what I'm trying to say is I will focus more on the shape first and try to fix the shape at this stage. Fix the scales, fix like if the build is too large, try to add some shape variation before going into the detailing, because there's only so much that you can fix with the detailing. You cannot cover everything up. There are some things that you can cover up with detailing. It's not like there's nothing that you can do if the shape is not perfect. but try, before moving to painting or before moving to detailing, try to make sure that you are happy with the shape, right? Try to make sure that the shape has enough detail to it in the shape itself so that it doesn't look plain and boring. Especially when you go to the larger scale. I think that is a bit of an essential thing to do. 1, 2, 3, let's... These are like simple ways of bringing some more interesting shape to a tower of this scale, for instance. You can like add some middle towers in between, or whatever these are called. Like that. And then fill it in. That definitely will make the tower look more epic or more full, even without any type of detail. This is all full block, the roof isn't even full, but you get the idea. Try to fix those things beforehand. Lerk, thanks for the Lerk Brune. Call this the crayon face, since I use wool and it looks like the kindergarten color did. Absolutely, wool is also a good color. Not to worry, I was just calling you out on things. It's all good. Nice, Hoof. Can you imagine? I was actually thinking about thanking a 10-hour stream just to Ray Calvin because he's doing this super cool thing. Now glad I did, and that I haven't got. And he said, "Oh yeah, oh, because I got the red disables. Yeah, I'm sorry for that. I just wanted to keep it, you know, concealed for today. If that makes sense. It's too much panic already. Hey, Synth, welcome in. It's much easier to me planning while doing a little bit of detail. Absolutely, absolutely. I do the same. This is just like a beginning recommended thing to practice. Miss a bit of stream, no worries. Calvin, will you post this VOD later? Yes, Shio. This is on YouTube, so the VOD will stay there, and it will also stay on YouTube, on Twitch as well. So it will be there. Always build some nodes? No. Hey, Darian, welcome in. Will there be an interior build class? I think I will need to learn a bit more about interiors first. Or at least I will need to try to like break it down, because I do have a process for interiors, but it's not the best, I don't think. The Axiom Reflector is so powerful, love it. Absolutely. Those are some good building tips. Thank you, Synth. In very, very large buildings, it's better to use a few that are in Axiom at once. So that's a good starting point. The problem with the Axiom shapes is they have this problem, right? They have this exact same problem of being very undetailed. So it's very easy to plan with this and make a bunch of towers and do all the type of thing and feel like you are doing a lot of progress while planning with these shapes. The problem that I find with this is it's very difficult to come out of this and know exactly where to add that interest in the shapes, right? Well, this one is very bad in every single sense. So it is easy to do, but you need to be careful. You need to be careful to not get carried away with how easy it is to get these shapes done, because then you will end up just with stuff like this. A bunch of like simple shapes, and then once it's there, it's kind of more difficult to see where to go to break it down and to make it more interesting. So use it, but to me, I think it's easier to just, even on a larger scale, unless it's like super massive. When it comes to Axiom, I would recommend using the symmetry tool, honestly. even on a large scale. Like maybe you can do what you can use it for. You can do a large cylinder to use as a guide, but then with the symmetry, build all the details around it. So this is to me the recommended way of using the shape tooling axiom for large structures. You use like small shapes as guidance, but don't rely on it entirely. I don't know if that makes sense. Sweet, I gotta go for now, but didn't wanna miss anything. Absolutely, Shio, no worries. Catch you later, like, comment. Love you, Shio, have a good one. Want to rotate them is very helpful, definitely. High risk, high reward, yes. I think those tools are more for terrain, maybe. You use custom blocks from mods like Biomes of Plenty and use structure from other villages mod. I think you can, I think Axiom allows you to. The problem with all cone-shaped roofs is they are looking like rockets, if not careful, absolutely. Because of large castle, which is better? I would do a mix. A mix of both. Copying and rotating things all the time, that's also very useful. Oh, let's go synth with the 20 stream streak. Nice. And looks like a pencil, not like a tower. Exactly. Minecraft should be considered an art form for real. It is a bit of an art form, I think, at this point. Okay. So these are the basics. I think I've proven a bit of a point. I hope that you find some knowledge useful about why planning is important, or why at least it's useful to get started with building, what things you can learn from planning your builds. Yes, Arion, it will. I mean, it is already on YouTube, so it's gonna stay as a VOD there. Now, we talked a bit about this. This is just like a basic step to get started with planning the builds. We cannot talk about planning builds without talking about reference images. At least to me, following reference images or learning how to follow a reference image is one of the most, I would say, easy, or it's kind of like a shortcut, right? Because here, to make this look right, we will need to do a lot of figuring out of the shapes, the scales. We need to be very certain about what we want to build. A reference image helps you with skipping that step. You directly go to, okay, this is what I want to build. How I'm going to build it, that's a different problem. We'll see a bit of that. But it gets rid of that initial stage of what do I build. Now, when it comes to reference images, let's go over here. I feel like we have a couple different options. Going from easy is basically following other Minecraft builds. I think, I don't know. If anything, I started doing this. When I started improving my buildings, it was by following or trying to copy a build that I liked. The one that I remember is one from Sheminite from a long time ago, a one from Sheracraft. Was it the same build? No, because I couldn't copy it 100%. But if you are starting, if you never follow the reference image, if you don't know where to start, here. Grab a build that you think it's simple, grab a build that you think that you like, basically. and try to copy it, even if it doesn't look the same. The advantage of a Minecraft build is that you will see the blocks, which blocks they used, which colors, how they use them, which details. So grab a Minecraft build. Let me see if I have a reference image. I do not. But again, you can like take a look at the build that you like and maybe try to break it down in the shapes that it forms. Try to be, okay, there's a roof here, there's a square here, there's a cylinder here. Breaking down those things to learn is a really good practice. After this, I would say the medium difficulty for following a reference image is drawings, but not any drawing, black and white, like sketches basically. This is another easy one to follow. About half though my Minecraft building rabbit hole, I noticed I was just relearning art. Definitely. When you're composing in Minecraft, it becomes a different game. Yo, Onky, welcome in. I think this is where most people start, and there's no shame in that. Absolutely, Onky. I know that's where I started. Like when I was like, okay, I want to build better, but I cannot do it from the top of my head. Okay, I'm gonna try to copy this. See what they do. You learn a couple tricks and you repeat. And those tricks, you use them somewhere else. At some point, you will incorporate them and begin building better. Don't forget to create the original creator though. Absolutely. If you are like posting stuff, if you are doing content about it, you should give some credit to the creator. But if you're doing it for yourself, for your single player, don't feel bad about like being like, okay, I like this build, let's see how I can do it. Let's see what they do. Like putting your hands into it and building yourself is the only way of learning. So 100% will give grade, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Monkey King, hi. So drawings. Drawings, I think I have one. This one. This type of drawing, I will say, is very easy to follow. This one, I think I found one that is extremely easy, right? For that same reason, right? Just so that you can visualize clearly where the boxes will be placed, where the roof is, all that kind of thing can be followed very easily by following this. What time are we? Okay, we're fine. That's one that I would recommend. Then you would have I would say easy, medium, maybe, I don't know if hard, but let's call this hard. I would say illustrations, concept art, any type of more like complex drawing that will form all of the, I think this is the most common one to follow for most people. But this one has more difficulty because you have more complex shapes. The color, there's lighting, there are other things that will distract from the step-by-step guide. So this one is a bit more complicated, but it's also the most powerful. Hey Basil, welcome in. Reading a book about art and being creative. A lot of the book is about trusting the process and believing yourself. You are the only one who should like the things you do. Definitely. Change a bit of the way how I think about building Minecraft today. Yeah, you are the first one that needs to like what you do. Then comes the rest. Also, no long-term world, I have a sign in buildings that are inspired by someone else. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Illustrations, concept art, 100%. And what I would say is maybe the most impossible. It's not impossible, but I think this one is like the most difficult. At least to me, I consider this to be like real life photos. It's really cool and it's really inspiring to build from places in real life, but I think it's the most difficult one. Because here it's more hard to translate what you see into blocks. But you know, from easy to hard, I would say if you are getting into building with references, following these steps by step and starting with Minecraft builds, then going to drawings, illustrations and photos. These are kind of the same category though, but definitely recommended to do this. Real photos, but then be smooth. We don't talk about be smooth here. So good. How do you know when a reference image is too small to build one scale within Minecraft? Because sometimes I try to build details and then realize there's not enough space for the details. So, yeah. Building a one-to-one scale from a reference. It is not... That depends. That depends on the scale. Because I don't think there's something that is like too large for Minecraft. I would assume maybe you are thinking like a survival friendly scale. What I like to do, let's grab this drawing as a reference. This one is simple enough to do something quickly. I don't know from the beginning. That's the honest answer is I don't know from the beginning if it's going to work or not. But what I like to do is grab something from the reference that catches my attention. For example, the doors, right? I know that I want this to be a survival build for my world or whatever. So I will start with making sure that the doors are on a scale that I know I can use and that I know I'm going to like for the build. So for instance, maybe a door like that or a door like that. That will be a good starting point. And then I would adapt everything else to that. Right? So I would try to make the rest of the build on a scale relative to that. Does that make sense? Survival friendly, yes. My tip, if you ever get burned out, just build smaller, just work your way up, and YouTube makes it be not be equal bad with, oh yeah, oh definitely. Don't try to, like, it's a good practice to try and copy other builds, but don't try to copy somebody else, if that makes sense. It's like a thin line, I would guess. Yo, Hester, welcome in. How would you plan out more complex shapes, organics, or like ice cream swirls? For that ice wall, I would go into the path tool. I think I would like build the frame of my build using these for curves and then model the rest with the modeling tool. It's a bit more complex. It falls a bit more into axiom territory, at least for me. But yes, this is how I would plan an organic or a more complex shape. There is tutorial series from Solar Builds where he goes through his process when taking from real life buildings. Oh, nice. I don't know them. I might take a look at that. End up going for one. Okay. Hey, Beerly, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's fun. Your action tutorials helped me when I got Java 3 months ago. My building style is like your Gothic bridge. Ooh, that's a fun style. Going from console to PC changed my building completely and better and faster, all because of your videos. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shen fan. You ordered correctly. Hey, no worries. I was like on the fence if it was like a promo type of thing, because it's game fans quickly on this page. But thank you. I'm glad that you find them useful. And what you mean with the looking at the door? Yeah. So it's kind of like adapting this. I think we can like break down this shape and try to get at least the front of this. Let me get the second floor, so I can at least have on the board like the recorded version of what I mean when planning this. Why are we in class? Welcome to the class, Hester. Favorite style in Minecraft? I think it's dark fantasy, probably. Gothic. Ice cream is just circles but twisted. Yeah. I mean, summer break of classes. I know. But this is building class, which is more fun. You're amazing. Thank you, Andrew. You too, Andrew. Indeed. Silent Princess, welcome in. From Russia, my English is bad. Show me how to build Gothic architecture. Will be very grateful. New for a long time. Thank for everything. I can do something a bit more towards that in the future. I don't see why not. Dun, dun, dun. Because I have school, but I'm here. Hey, welcome in, Shonkles. No worries, no worries. The VOD will stay, so it will be watchable. We went through some of the basic building. And now we are going through a bit of planning. This is kinda how I would try to tackle a build like this. Probably I will need to readapt the scale here to make it actually make sense. What I would do honestly, to get the dimensions right from the beginning, on top of this trick of having the door as the main like focus or anchor point for the build, I would count, right? I would count how many blocks I'm using. So 5, 6, 7 maybe here, 8, 9. Let's not stop in 6, 7. 2, 3, 4. I feel like I always do that. And it's on accident. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11 maybe. Here I will make the door. And I will close that up to get the shapes. This will be a better approach to figuring this out. Yo, Fishy, welcome in. And then the same at the top. This one, for instance, would need to be way, way larger. Your style is different than anybody else's. Most people go for stone and blacks, and yours was more white and grays. Yeah, I loved that. I love how it turned out. Honestly, with the new pale oak, it made that possible, because before it was more difficult. So that's why I had the idea. And honestly, it turned out pretty good. But you can see, even with the reference drawing and having done this many times, it's always a bit of a struggle to get the planning stage right. So it's not something that you're gonna get on the first try most of the times. That's why it's cool to kind of like separate the different floors, the different layers. And make sure you can readapt this. Of course, the Axiom tools help a lot with the readapting part. This is 12, let's do one more. like that. Maybe this one needs to be taller. And then we can do a very simple roof here. Resin. Like so, and then we do there, right? That would be like a nice layout of this without any details, right? They would need to add the details like maybe the chimney on the side or something like that. That's something that you could plan as well from the beginning to see how it would fit within the rest of the build. And the window here, essential. So getting the windows in place, getting the doors, that's a good way of getting the heights figured out, the dimensions, and making sure that it's on the scale that you want for your survival world. You could do it, you can do the door like this as well. If you want like a Minecraft scale door, but that would change the scale of everything else. Now the build would need to be way smaller. Maybe in this case, too small to fit every detail with full blocks. 7. Don't tell my teacher I'm sneaking my phone right now. No, Shonkles. Looks the coolest. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Beerly. Appreciate it. Please don't. Curious how you're going to do that roof window. The roof window. Well, that's something that will happen. I actually have done this one before stream over here on that scale. You can see that even I've done it again there, but it's not the same scale. And I've done it very like this, I think. Because it's a bit of a challenge, because it's very small. But you get the idea, right? How with smaller blocks we can get those shapes in place and the scale. This one is a very simple one. Show voice actor said it on a reel and it's living in my head rent free. Oh no. Already we can finally let the worst meme of the era died. It can be, yeah. Okay. I think with this we kinda covered most of the things that I wanted to cover about planning. Any other questions regarding this? I think we have we can use 10 more minutes on this. If not, we take a break and we move to colors. Colors. Oh, something that we can see. I think we cannot show this, right? But, you know, following reference images, breaking the patterns, using the details, you can, here there are some, let me show the reference images for all this. This is the reference image that we use for this one. This one was submitted by Googler. So we kind of plan the things with some basic shapes. This one is a bit of squares, but it has other more complicated connections, like this diagonal wall here, these cylinder towers on top. This one's on a smaller scale. The windows already have details in them. The roof is maybe using some better shaping. But once you get the shaping done right, the painting becomes a bit more easy, and the adding of details to the windows, all the well, these vines should not have grown, but doesn't matter. That is fine. So that is one of those. Then this one is an older one that we worked on a while back. The colors don't need to be the same that we see on the reference, clearly. The build doesn't even need to be the same. The main inspiration here was the main part of the build. You can see that the tower here is nothing to do with this. The same on this side, it's not the same, so take them as inspiration. They don't need to be like full copies, but it's good to take them as inspiration. And then the one that we worked also very recently was this Viking house submitted by Benchy, I think. Yeah, this was Benchy's house. This one we kinda went more close to the colors, but again, it doesn't need to be 100% accurate. Like this house, this part over here, we don't have it. These parts of the back, we changed it to something different. So the method of planning can take you pretty far when building. What's the name of your haircut? I have no idea. This was a new hairdresser that I don't usually go. So yeah, I don't know that meme, Darion. Have you built some pantries? I have, a long time ago. A long time ago. But yeah, that's kind of to show you a bit of the planning stages. Okay, if there's no question with the planning, let's go into Calvito UltraCut. The Elden Ring builds look awesome, thank you. I like them. Well, yeah, taking inspiration from games is also a good way of building. But alright. Let us take a break. 10 minutes. And we come back to colors and painting. The Viking hat. Yeah, it's your house, Benchy. Did you see it finished? Pro tip, make it look good. Yes. I wrote 6-7 Roman numerals to avoid saying it. I see. Yeah, I really like how it turned out, Benchy. This one went a bit crazy with the scale, but you know, to get all the details in, I had to. So, can happen. I take inspiration from shows and movies as well. If I see some cool areas, absolutely. Absolutely, it's so cool to see it. Nice. Nice. Deep, hello Deep. How are you doing, friend? It's huge. Yeah, this one, I think this is the largest of the houses that I'm ever going to make. This was too much, but it was so fun. It was so fun to do it. And do all the shaping tricks. I like how it turned out. But yeah, it was massive. Massive. Which, you know, that's also a thing, like, there's no need to, like, stop on small scale unless you're building for survival. It is welcoming, thanks for the maxi level. Alright. Break. It's a 2-people house as well. Yes. That's also why I was like, okay, yeah. Because it was submitted a long time ago by Songo, and I never done it, so it was like, okay. Now it's been submitted the same house again, so let's do it. And so you share the house, a very large house with Songo. So yeah. Why not huge survival? You can build large. Absolutely. It's just a bit more difficult, I would say. Most people think rather a smaller build, but definitely. Okay. Let's take that break, and I'll be back in 10, and we can do the second part, colors and painting. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if that was 10 minutes more or less, I hope. Vidas made the Nether Havas on Hermitcrafts using white, grey, and black in a gothic type build, and it looks awesome too. That's so true, Miguel. That is so true. But Beer, thanks for the follow. Welcome in. That was like 2 minutes. Yeah, right? I think it was less than 10, but you know, it's fine. How are we finding the class so far? Was it useful so far? Did you find anything useful? Entertaining at least? I don't know. I think it's a bit similar to what we do on the regular streams, just with a bit more explanation maybe, and a bit more basic. But yeah, hope you're finding it useful, or something useful. We'll see. I've been writing down tons of notes. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Sebe. Glad to know. I don't know, I just came in. I know, Hester. I know. It's fine. It's fine. We are gonna get into color next. Let me just check this. I love that I made a bunch of notes between yesterday and this morning, and now I'm not reading anything. I'm just going through whatever. But you know, on my way to become a pro, like, no, Benji. Love that. Love that. I just saw that in the Discord. Okay. I'm glad to be able to talk with your YouTube channel. Why does it have to be a Berlin Wall? I don't know. It's how it works. It's how it works, sadly. Not my preferred way, to be honest. But it's how it is. We cannot do more. Okay. Six actually? Okay, okay. That's a good number. Between 5 and 10. Okay. Going to colors now. Streaming, Minecraft. We saw planning. I think we covered quite a few things. Now we are gonna go into colors and painting, which I think is a topic that is very interesting to many, I hope. Yeah. Let's grab this. Oops. Let's grab this. Zoop. Zoop. And for the hydrate. Got beer. Give me a second. Copy that. Let's apply the colors to this small house, because I think this is on a scale where we can like do a bit of things. You cannot gamble, no. Gambling is disabled. Okay. So, no gambling in class. Indeed, no, you can't. Yep, no for today. So, let's say we followed this tutorial class, however you want to call it. Oh, let me change this. Hang on. Colors. Yay. I am prepared with very basic stuff, but I'm prepared. Anywho, let's say you follow this tutorial and you followed like the shaping technique or your variation of the shaping technique that you like the most to create your build, or whatever you did, but you use placeholder blocks, right? Let's say that you are not building directly with the blocks that you're gonna make your build of, like in our case where we're using diamond blocks, endstone, and resin, which is a mix of anything to make the build. So the next step clearly would be to go back in and paint this, right? Here comes, I think, the problem. Because let's say we base this on the reference that we were basing it off. This one. Now, clearly in this reference, there are not any colors. I speak English and Spanish. Oh, Russian? Okay, okay. So deciding which color to paint this, I think, is one of the maybe most challenging sometimes, or perhaps the color of your reference, you do not like it. So how to decide on those colors? In general, there are many ways. Like you can choose many different approaches. You can take many different approaches when it comes to painting a build. What I would say in general, or the most basic one that we can do, is clearly grabbing, or what most people would do is grab a stone block or a stone block variation to paint the walls, right? And some other block different for the roof. That would be like the easiest way to go about this. And what we are doing with that is replacing basically the blocks that we are using for the walls with what I call, I think they have another name, but I call them filler, or that's the name that I came up with it. Replacing it with a filler block. Let me get a sign. So I'm gonna call it, let's write it down, replace walls with a filler block. A filler block would be, how to put it in words, this would be a block that is not too attention grabbing. I think that's the best way to describe it. Pro tip, you place a block that block doesn't look good, so you choose another block, that block looks good, you stay with that block. I mean, honestly, it is a pro tip. A bit of trial and error, it's always, yeah. A bit of trying one block, you don't like it, you change it, 100% valid. But yes, basically you will want to change the walls, or more than the walls, I guess it would be the blocks that you have the most amount of. If we have a bunch of diamonds here for all this, you will likely try to avoid painting that with something like, I don't know, red mushroom blocks. There's not a strict rule that says you cannot do this. In fact, there might be ways to make something like this work. But in general, you will want to replace these blocks with something that is more muted, something that you can easily ignore, if that makes sense. Yo, Eskimo, welcome in. Hello, hello. Someone to shut up. We tried many times. Doesn't work. It just gets worse. We just ignore Hester. It's fine. How are you doing, Eskimo? So, we would like to replace the walls and the blocks that we have the most with a filler block. Basically, any block that is not super attention grabbing, a block that is maybe desaturated, that doesn't have a lot of texture, that doesn't have a lot of contrast. That would be a good filler block. And then we will replace the roofs in general, or maybe the overhangs, or any part of the build that stands out. In general, it's the roofs. We will replace the, I'm gonna call it roofs, replace roofs, or anything that stands out, or that needs to stand out, with a, and I call this with an accent block, right? So you will want to replace, in this case, something at the roof, like the roof, with something that is more, basically, something more vibrant, eye-catching. That's the idea. So the roof, we are gonna change it with an accent block, something that is more eye-catching. One can be, like in this case, leaving that resin. Not a bad idea. Something else very cool that I really like is the warped. This one. This is a very eye-catching color. The red that we talked about, that will also be very eye-catching. So anything that has like more color, that is more eye-catching, that's what we are gonna use for the roof and all the overhangs and stuff like that. Didn't you literally build a tower that had a gradient of bright purple to bright orange to bright yellow? Yes, that's true. But that involved a more complex shading. So for the basic, I think for the start, I think it's, at least to me, it was very useful to break down the build in these two segments. Which I think I also learned this from Sheminite. Separating, being like, okay, the walls, a block that is more bland, a block that mixes more with the background, something that doesn't jump at us, and then all the highlights or the roofs or the overhangs, keep the good colors for those. As you said, there are ways to... You can't laugh at that? I can. You can, there are ways to make fancy, weird colors to work, but yeah, that needs to be like taken with more care, and probably there you need to begin using color theory and play with shadows and lights and do all that kind of thing, right? So here, to keep it basic, to keep it on the basic level, maybe just going into a bit more advanced, but without going too advanced, you can think of your build in this way, right? I need to choose a color that is more filler for the walls, and I need to choose a color that is more of an accent for the roof, the overhang, and anything that I want to stand out in the build. Exir, welcome in. How we doing? We doing good. We doing good. So, with that said, I prepared a small table. It doesn't have all the combinations. This is not like a super crazy grid, but it's a nice way of guiding ourselves and seeing which combinations can work and which don't, right? Because not every combination is going to work, and there are also many ways to apply them, right? So, some basic filler blocks that I tend to use, these are not all of them, probably you can find others, but classic ones, any type of like stone variant, going from tough to stone, andesite, going to deep slate, black stone. These gradients are not perfect either, it's just to showcase like how you could combine and transition from one to the other. This one is probably very likely one of the most classic palettes, right, to build walls. Hey Dolly, welcome in. Some combinations are unemployed, absolutely. We will see them, we'll see them. Hope you're doing good, Dolly. For the maxi level? Don't take me seriously, never do. Yeah, that's kind of the rule. So, this is one. Another one is going more to the browns. Here we're going from mangrove to spruce to mud. Thanks for the follow, welcome in. Then we have a similar one. This one could be connected, to be honest, but it's a bit more bright, going from shingle to granite and brick. Then we have a white one, going from diorite to all the different variants to snow, going through calcite, and maybe bifurcating a bit into pale wood if you want. You could also add quartz here. There are many like other blocks that could work there. We can see how to make some of these palettes in a bit if you want, but this is just to show some classic filler blocks on palettes that you could use. And this one with sandstone, starting with smooth sandstone, going to the browns as well, going through birch. It's going to end up on YouTube. Yes, it is gonna end up on YouTube. What's going on? It is going into YouTube. Okay, so this will be like pallets. Stuff, stone, mud, regular bricks, diorite, sandstone, and so on. And here we can have some accents. Some that I think are very classic as well and that I like to use a lot, or that I used to use a lot before. Now I'm building everything very gray, but I still go to these colors, I think. We got this one with warped, going either to copper or to the greens over here. Then we have this one with red, using mangrove, netherrack, and all these other beautiful colors. I really like this one. This one with green, using moss, pumpkins, bamboo, and all that kind of stuff. This one with orange, and this one with yellow. So we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 palettes of filler and 5 of accent. Hey Galaxy, welcome in, cool live. Hello, hello. Thank you. And we can see the combinations, right? Here we go, these palettes like this and these palettes like that. Palettes that work, let's see. Let's put a lime wool here and a red wool here. On the palettes that I think would work, this one works. Sandstone and warped definitely works. Sandstone and mangrove definitely works. Sandstone and moss definitely works. Sandstone and resin, meh. Doesn't work for me. Why don't you just share the scheme? I can share this schematic, yeah, for sure. I believe in sandstone supremacy. You know, I think sandstone is the one that is most compatible, but this one could work. I'm gonna do orange here because this one is kinda half. Then diorite, the diorite palettes, diorite with warped, I think that works. With mangrove, that works. With moss, it works. With resin, it works. With yellow, definitely no. Bricks and warped, nah. This one could work. Depends on how it's done. This one works. This one is a no. This one is a yes. Diorite on top, we are even, I think. This is my opinion as well. This doesn't mean that you cannot make these two combinations work, but I don't think I wouldn't combine them straight away. Mud and warped, I think this one can work. This one, I think this one definitely works. Mud and moss works. Mud and resin, I don't think this one works. And this one works. Very nice. Then stone, this stone is probably the one that works with most of the things because it's gray. So with warped it works, with red it works. With moss it works. I would doubt it works here. And here it works. I mean, this one probably works as well. Honestly, and the same applies to this one. This one works with everything. That's the cool thing of the stone ones. If you make the gradients good enough, you can make this work. You can make anything work. But for like basic color combinations, I would avoid certain ones. But most of them I think work really nice. After you have done this, can you please send me all the non-working ones? I can use the challenge. Absolutely. I didn't have a Mad and Word build. Madame Warped. I mean, I think this one can work. Again, it's the same case as for the yellow and purple tower that I did. If you get the shadows and the colors right, you can make it work. What I mean with this is not gonna work is, let's say we have a build like this, and we just do a basic replace of this to mud and the resin to warped. It's not something that I see and straight away go like, oh, so beautiful. You know what I mean? It is not awful, but it's also not right there yet. Hey Cass, welcome in. So all in all, orange pretty bad for real though. Orange, I think orange is a difficult one. But then again, here I'm comparing it with resin, which is like a very vibrant one. The key of this, I think, comes when we begin using the gradients. Because you could use a more desaturated orange here, and that would work so much better. This is so much better. Right, so take this yes and no's very lightly. Because it's, well, this one yes, this one is still a no. But this one could be a yes. The same here. This is maybe a no, but with the one that we used, it can be a yes. So it depends on the part of the gradient that we are using. Here I'm like doing a simplification of it. There are some that you cannot go wrong with, no matter what part of the gradient you use here on the word one. Most resin was bad combos, I know. It can be pretty good still. Brick is difficult. Brick is difficult, yeah. I think brick is the one that we targeted most as difficult ones. But I think that's because of the texture. But yes, here, for example, here I prepared some combinations that have the gradients built into them. So for instance, the one with sandstone and warped, we have this, with the gradient going to oak, the gradient going to copper. Then we have the same one with red, or a similar one but with red. You can see that that also works. Then we have the same one with green. These ones are also very beautiful palettes that we can use without fear. We know that these are like classic palettes that you can use. It's gonna look good, very likely. So the thing is, it only needs contrast. Most of the time contrast works well. Absolutely, yes. Yo Rec, welcome in. How are we doing? Win is really good. Then the resin with the white goes very well when we use it on a gradient. Then with red, that also works really nice. It has a really nice contrast and a really nice separation between the highlight, between the filler block and the accent block. Then we have here one with the mud and the prismarine, and one here with the deep slate and the yellow. Let's do one with the brick, because I realized I haven't done any with the brick. I think we can do probably one with this and with the moss. So it here. This one could work really nice. I would suggest maybe with the red could work as well, maybe. Or maybe not. Depending on the style. It's not bad. Also not my favorite. They're very important. They completely change how something looks. I have a good ref for the brick one, I think. Okay. What's the concept behind the cast right now? We are just trying to understand a bit of how to simplify the selection of a palette, of a color palette. If we have this build, for instance, which is a very basic one, how to separate the painting, how to address which blocks do I use in each part, right? And a way of simplifying is doing this separation between like filler blocks, which are these blocks that are less saturated or less eye-catching, and these other ones that are the accent blocks, which are more vibrant, more saturated, more eye-catching. So when we combine them, we are trying to figure out which ones work best, which one works worst. But that doesn't mean that we have to like fully avoid something like that, because it can work depending on how we use it. And how we use it depends on the gradient. So don't be afraid of that. And also, it's not always that we need to mix. Again, as everything that we are saying today, it's not a strict rule. This is just a way of simplifying it. You could also mix two filler blocks. For example, you could mix, let's say we mix this one, the brick one, with the deep slate one, which I think is what we have here. We can do this, and that will look really nice. And that is what I did on this one. This one is that palette. We have the bricks. Of course, it's a bit of a different gradient, but we have that main filler block, and the roof is deep slate. So you can combine that. Here we're using the white and the thing. Here I think it's kind of like also a bit of a mix of both, because we have the mud and the brown on the walls. We have accent roofs with red, and the roof is also kind of like a filler block of grays and whites. So it's not that you cannot do these things. This is more of a starting point, and then you combine in different ways and mix different like filler ones to get different crazy things. Calvin, shall I call you teacher? Hey Benjamin, welcome in. How are you doing? Hey Nib. There we go, Nib. How are we doing? I am actually a teacher, yes. So, this is just to show you a couple palettes that I think if you don't know where to start, that's always a good starting point. Of course, if you're following a reference, that also can help when you need to build, because you maybe already know what color you're gonna paint the roof or what color you're gonna paint the walls. But if you don't know, this is a good starting point. And for example, let's say you know that you want this mangrove, and you know you wanna end here, but you don't know exactly how to get from this to there. One very useful tool in Axiom is this one, and I definitely recommend using that because it gives you a very nice start for these gradients. Or at least it will give you an idea of how to transition from one to the other. So use this. Another site that is very useful is Color Hub. No, what is it? I stopped using that. Since I have this, I stopped using that site. But there was one site that was very useful for gradients. I don't remember right now. Color Hunt is good for colors, but it's not for blocks. Hue blocks. There we go. Thank you, Rek. That one. That one is very similar. You can input 2 blocks and it's gonna give you like a gradient for it. So don't be afraid of using those external tools to assist yourself when choosing a color palette, but keep these things in mind when painting. Is there a default button to zoom in Minecraft? No, I have a mod for that. Any questions regarding that so far? Ublocks is terrible. It is, Brun. It is. It's not perfect. The same as this. This is not perfect. This gradient is never going to be perfect. The thing is getting a starting point. But yes, I mean, after I use it, after this is a thing, I just don't use anything else, to be honest. Another website is called Block Colors that can turn hex codes into blocks. Okay, similar to the Axiom menu. Okay, didn't know about that one. That's cool. That is very cool. Okay. I'm gonna take a look at that one. I'm gonna write it down. Block colors. I'm gonna check that later. What else about colors here? Let me check something while I see OpenGL. Let's see, I wanna see that. Orange and sandstone, yeah. Well, but you can see that in that build, it's more going into the browns more than the sandstone, more than the red. But yes, on the orange you could go. Oh, brick and moss. Okay. I like that. Definitely. I mean, I know you're gonna make that work for sure. Amethyst. I didn't include the purples here. The purples are also a really nice accent color that could be added to the list. Quartz and blackstone. Yeah, if we go to the blackstone, this would work really nice. With quartz as well. Yeah, absolutely. 2 blocks over an update, apparently. I have not used it in ages. No, me neither. This is a good suggestion, absolutely. This works really nice. I might leave this here so that I can add one more color here. I forgot about the purples. You can also go to the magentas. There are way more colors here that we could do as highlights. Like crimson I didn't include as well on this spectrum of colors. And probably I'm leaving behind a bunch of other possible colors like blues and light blues. But you know, I think these 3 colors are a bit more difficult because we don't have as many colors on this. We don't have as many blocks with these colors. So for beginners, I would stick a bit more into this. I think these are easier to use. Like, what do I mean easy to use? Let's go with an example. Let's go with this as an example. Let's choose one palette, one of these ones. Let's do, you know what? I kinda wanna do the Sandstone Award. I haven't used that palette in a long time. I think these palettes are easier because we have like the variants. I'm gonna get distracted with something else. But here we have the variants of blocks for the sandstone, for the birch, for the oak, for the jungle, so we can use smaller blocks. The same here, we have small blocks for this, small blocks for this, small blocks for that, small blocks for this, small blocks for that. Here, this one not so many. We have for the mostly cobblestone, but that's it. Here we have a bunch of, if we consider also the red sandstone, which I forgot. We have a bunch of smaller blocks here. Here we have smaller blocks as well. So I think these palettes are easier. These ones are more limited. So they are more difficult to make them work on any type of build. That's most of my builds, absolutely. Was a bit of AFK, what are you teaching us? So we went through basic color combinations for builds by combining filler blocks with accent colors in a very simplified, easy way. So now we are about to apply one of these into that build over there. So I'm gonna apply this one and I'm gonna apply the warped one. See what comes out of this. So the most basic one, and I'm gonna do this quickly, is to just replace everything. This can be done with World Edit, this can be done with Axiom. To replace the stairs with Axiom is as easy as going to type replace and doing that. And then the same for the Prismarine. We can do a more Axiom heavy class in the future, but for now, let's do this quickly. Send to the ref, that would work great with the brick color as a base, I think. Feel free to take a look now. Oh, I saw it. Yes, I love it. I think that's gonna look really cool. Are you gonna build that, Benji? And the end stone, this one is a bit more complicated, I think. What color to use here? I'm just gonna go for sandstone for the moment. Okay. So whatever method you use to quickly replace everything for the blocks after coming from that stage, that's up to you. But you can see clearly that after you apply it, if I have time, yeah, since one, yeah, looks really nice. You can see that it still looks very bland because we have very empty walls. Nothing has any type of detail. So as I showed, I made some palettes. So the question would be how to apply this. It's very common to arrange these palettes in gradient mode. You will see these palettes in gradient mode every single time. It's like the most satisfying way to organize them. But that doesn't mean that we are always going to be applying a gradient on our builds. And I think that's when comes the big question and the big difference that I will try my best to address, which is gradients versus textures. When to use one, when to use the other one, how to do one, how to do the other one. It's not so straightforward. It varies from build to build. I can show you like a couple tricks that I think work nice and that in general work very well for really any build. So this one, let's begin with the roof. Welcoming Mixera, found gold, nice. So let's begin with the roof. Here we have this roof that is very plain, very boring, of warped. We know that the roof is all stairs, so we are kinda limited with this palette because we only have these stairs, and we can have the oxidized copper as a stair as well, and maybe the walks one. This one, if we want, we can use this one as well. So on the roofs, I will say most of the time, and when I say most of the time, is the easiest to apply is a gradient. And we'll see how to do that manually. Let me do this, let me do that. How do I apply a gradient? The most simple way is just deciding where the sun, it's not the sun, you know what, we can do that. Deciding where the sun is hitting the build. So let's imagine for a second that that's the sun and it's casting a light on the build. Very large and very close sun. What that means is you will have light, or you will have the lighter colors here, closer to it. That's where a gradient can come in handy to make that work. Like that, for example. You could even add more highlights of this, maybe. You know what? We can use prismarine here as an accent, as part of the palette. So you can build on top of the palette that we made and have a highlight there. You can do it on a diagonal, you can do it on a straight line. It doesn't really matter. And then you will have the shadows fading away. It doesn't need to be perfect, but you get that will be an idea of where to apply a gradient in a very simple way, with a bit of trial and error as always. That already makes the roof look way more interesting than the plain worked. Then we can also like add shadows behind this overhang, because if the sun is hitting there, that would cast a shadow. This is not the only gradient direction that we can use. Another classical one is to just do it vertically. So the highlights are on top, the shadows are underneath. That also works really nice. It's very common to use this. That would mean maybe that the sun is on the top, which it is. The sun is hitting the build. Yeah. Beautiful. You gotta take solar panels. I don't think it's healthy for the sun to be this close. Sun this close would make the whole world be white light. True. True. You know what? That's not a bad idea though. Like if you wanna go with the crazy lighting, you could like the extreme of the gradient could be like a white highlight even. But yeah, that's going a bit too much. But definitely play around with that. I think that I find very useful when applying a gradient, and more when applying a texture, to think of that, to think of the story or the reason why this gradient is here. And that's one of the best ways, in my opinion. But yeah, let's say we like that. It's fine. Sunflower, literally, it is. Now the use of the shine of sunflower. Honestly, I did not think about it, but it's very cool. Hey Asu, welcome in. So we apply the gradient to the thing. Then we could apply the same principle to the walls. I kind of really like. I want to leave the white there. Nah, maybe not. Too much. We could apply the same to the walls. So if the sun is hitting from below, from above, this part, I'm gonna do a shadow with this. This part will be a bit on shadows. And it will slowly transition back to the regular color of the build. We have some... Yeah, I think that's fine. Something like that. It's still the same palette, it changes a bit, but it kinda still preserves the same. If we don't wanna go too crazy in the changing, we can readapt the palette. Perhaps use something like this. So the darkest would be oak. And then we go to birch. By combining that. That preserves a bit more of the original palette without going too dark. So this will be a case of applying texture, of applying a gradient, which we can do on every single aspect. And this is a small build, so we can do it quickly as well. If you always follow the same direction or the same orientation, I should say, it's gonna make sense, right? Because I think that's the main idea here, to make it make sense, so that it's all coherent with each other. So it already changes. Here we are applying simply a gradient, and we are applying a gradient with a reason. And I think the main reason to apply a gradient, most of the time, the reason can just be I apply a gradient because it looks cool. That's all more than fine. You like a gradient, you use it. I don't care where the sun is. Fine, you can do that. I do that all the time. So I'm giving you permission to just apply a gradient because you think it's cool. But if maybe the gradient that you're applying is not fully looking the way you want it to look, maybe try to give it a reason. Maybe try to be like, okay, wait, this is not working. Why is it not working? Reasons why a gradient cannot work. Maybe if you do a gradient in one direction and the other one in the opposite, maybe our eyes will be like, this doesn't make sense. So that might be something weird. Jesus, will you post the video of this? Yes. The bot will remain. What about just texturizing? Yes, that's what comes next. Texturizing is, I think, perhaps I like it more, but it's you can still combine. Jumbo, welcome in. So gradient is no rulebook, and texture is under some sort of rule like direction of light. No, we still haven't seen texture. This is gradient. And why we would apply gradient. They kind of mix at some point. We'll see that. But let me do another copy. This one, let's consider this one is just a gradient, right? So this one, let me do the change again to sandstone. Operation type replace sandstone to sandstone, resin to warped. Hey Helen lol, welcome in. 2 hours late? No worries. The bot will stay for people to watch, so thanks for the follow, by the way. This one to sandstone. I get ready to lay down and sleep. Hope you have a great rest of stream. Thank you, Benji. I learned a lot. I will put my during class building in your Discord. 100% no lie. Have a good night, Benji. Thank you for hanging out. So that change. Down. Okay. The sun is for that one. Let's say this one was just gradient. Gradient with a reason. The sun. This one was gradient with a reason, which is the sun hitting the build. That's all fine. Let's say we don't want the sun to be the one dictating how the gradient works. Yes, that is a sunflower acting as a sun. Let's say we don't have that. We don't want that for whatever reason. Then comes textures. I think the reason for texture, the main reason when to use texture is textures for telling a story. So, texturing on a build, this is not the main reason. You have other reasons for which you could use texture, but I would say one of the most easy is just thinking, okay, what happened to this build what's going on, why this part of the build would look different than the rest. Some easy answers to that is, for instance, underneath a window. Most of the times the ledges of a window will be more like weathered down, so you wanna have some darker color there. Sometimes the arounds of a door or even the arounds of a window, they will be stronger, so you kinda wanna add a bit of texture there by putting something that looks more bright or more solid. Another one, which is also very common, is being like, okay, the part of the build that is touching the ground on an area where it would accumulate maybe some moisture or something like that, you would want that part to be more weathered down. So you kinda do that there. And sometimes if you don't find that, it's just like, okay, this wall looks too flat and too boring, I'm just gonna add a touch of texture there. That's also a good reason. It doesn't have to be 100% the lore accurate explanation to why I'm adding a bit of texture there, so there or here. Sometimes it can just be, okay, I feel like this wall is too boring, let's add some texture here. And look at the way that we are doing it. We are adding texture still following the gradient, right? So in a way we are still applying gradient, but to achieve texture. Except for here. Here I think we are applying texture in a different way, which is also possible, which is applying texture in pattern mode, I would call this. Basically being like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna add certain pattern of blocks to stand out and to give a different texture to the wall. However, I think that is something that works better on a larger scale. If your wall is larger, that's when this type of texturing is more useful, because you can just do like some bricks. But you can apply some like version of this on a smaller scale as well. So it's a mix, it's different types of texturing, and I think that's the main reason. In general, I would apply texturing when I want to tell a story of a build, when I wanted to make it feel old maybe, when I wanted to make it feel like it's been lived in. The chimney maybe has a bit of like weatherization there. The roof maybe instead of being a clean gradient like this one, it can be it can have a patch of dark color there for whatever reason. And maybe even a touch of a different color somewhere else. So yeah, I really like combining both, but using a bit more of texture. Yeah. It's a bit they go together. It's not that they are completely separated. If I use gradient, I cannot use texture. No, it's a combination of both. But to separate it and try to keep it simple, I think the separation comes there, comes on the reason of why and where I use one or the other. That's the sun, Hester. What you talking about? Hey, Lupi, ¿cómo va? Viene bien, viene bien. Estamos terminando ya. Estamos terminando con lo que tenía planeado. We are finishing. Yo, Mythical, thanks for the lurk. Go sleep. No worries. Have a good night, Mythical. Sal, hi Sal. How are you doing? Yes, Lupi is still alive. Interesting who new mushroom stems would fit with. Oh, absolutely. Very good block. Hey, it's not illegal, Darion. It's not illegal. You can use mushroom stems in survival. Hey, Debugged, hello. The real Loopy was lost to time? No. One of the prettiest blocks in the game. It's a shame they are so awful to farm and play. Oh yeah. Doing good. Doing good, Sal. Glad to see you. Good day. Hey, Shaiko. Hello, hello. But yeah, honestly, I think... Let me see. Let me check my notes. Basic palettes. How to combine them. I create new ones. Beautiful. Something I didn't address. So, we combine, right? The gradients, the textures to give a meaning to the build, to tell a story through the build. Like the sunflower and sky? Yeah. We solve the palettes, the basic palettes. There is a small trick that I love to use. When I don't have exactly the color that I want, those who've seen me build, they know what I'm gonna talk about, but are the glass paints. Glass paints are a good option to bring that extra change in color in places, to add maybe some smaller weatherization underneath the windows, to add a highlight if I don't have the exact color highlight that I want. So I would say this is a technique that takes time to learn how to use the glass paints properly, to change colors, to change shape, but it's something that is so worth trying to just use glass paints. Let's say we have lanterns on front of the build, or emerald, and like the emerald wood coloring the area around it a bit lighter would be called texture or gradient. Oof, oof, that's a complicated one. I wouldn't call that neither. I think that's more called ambient lighting, because technically you would be using a gradient, and it would also be a texture. I think it will fall more into the gradient category. It's a really cool question. Let's say you have a frog light here, and you want to bake a light inside. I think I would call this more like yeah, definitely more leaning into gradient, I guess. Yeah, I think it's more gradient because you are not imprinting a texture. Even though it has a reason, I think the reason is more clear to this. So yeah. Sunflower is my favorite. Yeah, Lurk listening to this in the background while playing Silksong. Nice debugged. Thanks for the Lurk. The forbidden construction technique, imagine using glass where there is not a window. Hey, Hoopla Hoop, welcome in. Copy, God bless you. You got a new binge watch your stuff and get this down, I guess. Yeah, thank you. It sometimes breaks. I don't know why. The bot is selective sometimes. Ooh, Endstone was a good one for here. Thank you, Lupi. Endstone works really nice here. As the main bright color. Beautiful. I promise I'm not messing with you. I shall think it is here, the one that goes. A bit of playing around, trying to make it work. Yeah. I played with this a bit in one of my videos a long time ago. I never played back with the color lighting, but it is fun. I feel like the birch is a bit too much, too dark here. Because usually I build in texture style, but also add a bit of light ambience and sometimes shadow lighting. Is that fine? No. There's not too much or too little. It really depends on the build and how you want it to feel. As we said earlier, like it's about being happy with how it turns out. If it's too much for you, then maybe dial back a bit, but if you feel like you like it, then keep it. There's no wrong or right there. It's about what feels right for what you're trying to build. Ah, you do a Twitch name. What was your name before? That might affect it for sure. But yeah, guys, I think that's all that I had planned. As an extra mention here, we're not gonna go over the detailing. I don't think this one is worth the detailing because it's just a very basic house, which would mean adding some windows, maybe adding some stairs, some slabs. It's not like there's not a lot to do here, to be honest, with this build when it comes to detailing, more than just like polishing the shapes, maybe taking more care and painting it around. But what I do wanna say as a quick mention, just because I have it prepared over here, if your build, most of the times the build that we are working on is not just going to be like laying flat on an empty flat world. Most of the times they are going to go somewhere, and that somewhere most of the time is going to be a piece of terrain. If we do an Axiom live stream at some point, we might cover terrain. I might do a separated for terraforming. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But take into consideration the relative scales between things. I think that's very important. If your house is small, a terrain like this would fit really well, or it would fit really well on a terrain like this. A bit on a diagonal. Let's see where, right? To say it would fit really well, but then I don't like it. Let's say there, that's fine. So that house on that terrain fits. It feels right. Could be here. On top of the cliff. Now, if we have, of course, a house like this one, do not place it on a cliff like this, because no matter what we do with the placement of this, it's not gonna work, right? I think this is very obvious to say, but it's something that it needs to be considered. The scale of the terrain, where your house is gonna be, the scale of the trees. The scale of the trees is very important. Don't place a massive tree. I mean, in this case it would work, but the tree will look like crazy massive. If you want the scene to look more balanced, maybe a smaller tree would go better. Just taking those things into consideration, not just placing every asset and everything we do all randomly. Just a brief mention about that, but yeah, it all, as always, different things can work, but consider those small things. Is there a good way to use Noise Painter to a whole wall? I usually use large brush, but it's kinda tedious. Yes, I can show you. There is. British, where we at? We are wrapping up the 2 points that we wanted to do today. Took me a bit longer, but that's fine. So we did go through planning We did a bunch of planning. We went through colors and painting. We were just wrapping up with that. The detailing and surroundings, I think I'm gonna leave that for the future. I mean, we were talking a little bit about surroundings, but I'm not gonna go in too much into depth. And now I wanna do a couple, like 30 minutes of just like random questions and answers, not random, but build related. Maybe some Axiom stuff like the noise painter, we can take a look at that, and some other things that you may have that may arise. So, and we will wrap up with that. Good morning, Arcane. How are we doing? The bigger the better. We'll have big trees. Yeah, more fantasy-like in the right setting. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely more fantasy-like. Welcome in, Ino. Can you rate one build of mine? Yes. Okay, so let me write down Noise Painter so I don't forget. I'm gonna take another 5-minute break because my throat is not happy. Feel free to send that build on Discord. And I'll come back and we'll go through that Noise Painter thing. We'll go through we can rate that. Terrain, we can do some terrain, some quick terrain. Yes, absolutely. Some quick terrain, I can show that. We can go, you can use this to do some more, this last 30 minutes. To do a bit of that. Yep, enjoy the break, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Do you send it in build advice or in your builds? Depends. If you want some advice, send it in advice. If you want to just show it in your builds, it's fine any. Oh, that dragon is amazing. And ta-da-dum. Really, oh, so many new people on the Discord. Nice. Welcome back. Thank you, Shambo. Okay. So, noise painter. Wait a bit. No worries. Do noise painter for this type of landscape. Okay. Interesting one. Interesting one. You let me know. No worries. So, let's go more to the questions now. This is time, 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes we'll do more random stuff. Hey, Codinomia, welcome in. So, let me grab this reference that someone sent. Save image. Building class, tuki. How would I noise paint to do something like that? For the ground, it's gonna be very quick, probably not gonna be super accurate. But Arcane, yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, while I wait for the other thing, we'll do this. So clearly there's a path there, so I would like mark out the path first, maybe with the path tool clearly. Something like that. For the ground, it seems a bit complicated, the ground, but I think I'm seeing some grays in there. I'm gonna set a tool mask of the grass. And I'm gonna noise paint. Let me move my head here, because you need to see everything. There we go. So, I think I would do some dripstone, some light gray terracotta there. Maybe even mix some stone. And then we need to go to the more yellow. So I think I will go here to Shangle. From Shangle I will go to Birch. From Birch I will go to Sandstone. Something like this. The gradient might need to change a little bit, but you know, play around with these colors I think for the ground. And then the key to make the ground look more realistic, I would say, is maybe using Metaball. Increase the octaves up to 6 or 7. Increase a bit of the linearity. That goes from a gradient looking like this, very plain and boring, to something looking more realistic. And play with the scale. I will increase the scale of this. And then maybe paint like this. I like that. I would do it, maybe I would add path blocks here. I think those are really nice. In between. Yes. I will reduce the amount of stone on this and increase the amount of the other things. I think that would create a nice base ground for this. I will still tweak it a couple times, but one cool way of tweaking it is just by targeting the one of them, randomizing the seed, and painting again. So that kind of like changes it on top. Maybe even reducing the scale so that it's more noisy. And perhaps you can do the same in the sandstone. So it's like building a gradient on top of the gradient. Let's play around with that. And the diamond blocks, I will change that for something a bit less textured, probably sand, birch. The mushroom blocks can work if they are all false. Something like this, maybe. Probably with a pattern that is more like that. Yeah. You say that on purpose? What did I say? Did I say 6, 7? I tell you, Hester, I don't do it on purpose. I swear, it's just some numbers that I happen to say a lot. I'm starting to think that the meme was based on me, because I say that a lot without thinking. From is the castle inspired in videos, and the second one is the house I'm working on to surround it. Ooh, that's beautiful. I like it. That castle. I need to make a castle like that, like the top roof that you made. Very beautiful. Also a landscape. Very cool gradient for the roof as well. I like it. Absolutely like it. It's very cathedral-esque. Which, absolutely, it's a yes for me. Want to see it? Okay, I can show. Are you okay with me showing it now? It's on the Discord though, but I think this screenshot is very clean. You know what? I can do this. You made that look so easy. I mean, it is quite easy. Once you know how to play with these parameters, Arcane, you can do that. And now we can see how to do one of the building texture as well. Let's see. How was this annotation tool? Course? Okay. That's a very beautiful castle. I like it. Very clean. It's on build advice. Are you from Argentina? Yes, I am. So for a building, let's do, of course I'm not gonna do a proper shape here for it, but let's say this is one of the buildings. A good way to paint this, because you can see that this building, for instance, has a very like, it's broken in a few spots, so it's not like a pattern. So I also see my build there. You can, a way to do that, or the way that I like to do that, is maybe choosing a placeholder here. Move that again with a noise painter. So we reduce the scale, we choose a placeholder like gold, and we add a couple patches, maybe bigger ones like that. Or you can do those patches by hand. If you want like a patch in a very specific area. Again, here you can think of why this part would be broken and that kind of thing that we say for the texture. So once you got where you want your broken areas to be, then you apply the gradient. So for instance, we would paint the rest of the diamonds with probably some mix of sandstone, sand, and smooth sandstone. Let's say that we do that with a bit of texture, why not? And then the gold with the color that we want, right? For the broken parts. So tiny the button that we have to press for that. It's kind of annoying. Play around with the scale. Maybe not so much of this. I don't know why I put that much. Something like that, maybe. This is a very simple way to do it in massive scale, right? But of course this building would need to have a window somewhere. And add all the details. That's what really sells it. Probably this build will be all weathered down here as well, to be honest. Like it would be something like that. But let's play around with it. That's kind of the process. Hey mouse, welcome in. Have the channel deactivated? I don't know why it does that sometimes. It's weird. Very weird. Okay, noise painter, quick terrain. So, quick terrain. I think to make some quick terrain, kind of like what we did there for the small house, what we can do, or the best way, I think is, it's honestly the best way. It's a mix. Elevation tool in race mode, that's one of the best, to be fair, to begin elevating terrain. There are many ways. That's why I cannot do I need to do a full terrain tutorial. I wanna do a video tutorial and we can do a class as well. I go to work again. Enjoy, Hester. Thanks for stopping by. Which one am I showing? Oh, it's Axiom. The same mod that I'm using to build. It has a feature that is called Open Reference Image. There you can do it. It's very practical, to be honest. This will be a quick way of creating some elevations, some mountings and stuff like that. You can also use a slope tool to bring terrain up. Yes, Arcane. I definitely can give you some feedback. This last couple minutes we are using it for that, so feel free to. Did you know that? Thanks. Absolutely, no worries. It's a bit hidden. So it's easy to miss. You can use a slope to create some diagonals here. That's also very useful. Another cool tool that comes in handy for this is the rock tool. Choose any shape that you like, any parameter that you like, and you can begin adding some rock formations in some areas to sort of make this have a different style, give it a bit more of style. I asked for terrain because I was thinking about building something like it to continue Everest, but I'm not sure how to build smooth snow with Axiom. Oh, there is a cool way. Go to the stream, good stream. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for the lurk. Okay, yeah, I can show you how to do that. It will be a nice way of adapting that. Another cool function of the elevation is the flatten, to create like these terraces all around. Very cool, very powerful. Love to use that. What else? The modeling tool is a bit more complex, so maybe I'll save that for another day. But with the elevation tool, let's make these mountains larger. Let's say that's your mountain, right? If you want to do smooth snow, a cool way of doing that is first we can set up a tool mask of an angle mask, something like this, for instance. So then if we use the freehand select, we can select the areas, and maybe not so much. 20 should be fine. There we go. We can select some of the areas that are like more inclined or more flat. Let's be more careful. Something like that. Basically, this is all the places that we're going to be painting with snow. So you make that selection. Then you go to select expand, and we expand the selection a little bit. And then we can go to operation, and here we should find this one, smooth snow. If you press that one, it creates some nice smooth snow layers, which actually I think this is gonna work better if we do like this. If we do a 90-20 there, we can do like that. Select, expand, operation, smooth snow. There we go. That's a nice way of creating those snow parts there that are very smooth. Then the top, we can paint that directly with snow, or we can use the fluid ball. And the fluid type here, we choose snow. The problem here is that we need to like play a bit with these parameters, because if not, it makes a mess. It's gonna take some time to process, and you can see that it, well, you can very quickly get something like that. In some areas it's gonna work really nice, but yeah, you need to play with these parameters. It's not so easy to get to do exactly what you want to do, but you can get something very cool. Hey Momo, welcome in, hello. And then this one broke the other one. So it's a bit of trial and error with this. But mixing both, you can definitely get something that works. Awesome it is. How to build a giant realistic animal using Axiom. Cursor a cat. There's not like there's not an easy way to show that, Kaito. It's that requires more time. Probably following a reference image and wireframing your organic. I will recommend using the path tool, like get a reference image and yeah, begin like wireframing your cut or the organic that you wanna do on the scale that you want it to do. But you need to, of course, wireframe it three-dimensionally, make sure to add the legs and all that. It's not easy, it's not quick, And this is probably the only tool that can help you with it, because the rest of the tools are more for terraforming and stuff like that. But once you have the wireframe, even you can do the modeling tool to like make it be thicker and filling it in. But to be honest, when doing organics, there is a lot of work that you will have to do by hand. A lot of shaping, readapting, scaling. But yeah, we don't have the time to do a full organic. I want to build custom trees, but I kinda suck in organic builds. You have some advice. I already see your videos about it, but the process of making the shaping is hard to do. I think let's spoil a little bit. I am working on a video. I'm finishing editing a large tree tutorial basically. Where am I? So I will say the first part of making the tree look good is separating it in parts. Try to break it down. The way that I like to separate it is building the trunk first, then one layer of branches, then another layer of branches, and then a third layer of branches. On this scale, it can be smaller and use less branches. But then once you have that, that's when you begin adding the leaves. There are way many different methods, but I would separate the steps. Maybe start with that. That can help. These ones are more simple, which they are of course not finished, but yeah, it's from those trees you can end up with something like this, for instance. After you paint it and everything, you can clearly see the trunk, the branches, and well, the leaf placement. Yeah, that really helps. Okay, and be patient with it. Try to make it have a lot of leaves. That's something that I think sometimes it's a problem for people when designing a leaf. Add a lot of leaves, make it crazy. Hey Wolf King, welcome in. Diseñar una estructura dentro de una montaña, cueva, sin que pierda la forma. ¿A qué te referís? ¿Una estructura en una montaña? ¿Tipo adentro o saliendo? How do you place in air for path? So between each point, the first one you need to place it on the ground. The second one you need to press the letter E on the keyboard. That brings this like black line. So then when you click, it places on the air. The next one, you can see that it's still placing it on the ground. So the next one again, we need to press E again. So now it's placed on the air. It's basically pressing E each time between points. E, click, E, click, E, click. That's the way. You start by throwing down a bunch of spheroids for the general proportion section of the organic. Usually help for me. That's also true. Yeah, that's also another way. That's right. You are right, Fishy. It's a good way. I think it's even better. And for the Legdarion, which is also amazing. Thank you, Lupi. Hey, Directed Butch, welcome in. Hello, hello. My name is Agona ChatGPT. What? Nocturnal, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. Dentro? No, no hay una forma fácil. Because the best way that you can do that, o la mejor forma sería acá copiar con aire. If you tick on copy with air, then the build would not be broken. but it's gonna make a hole inside. I don't know if that's useful. No sé si es eso lo que buscabas. Pero bueno. I think that's as closest. Check out 90, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. 90 has a really cool tutorial for organics. You press it or hold it? I just press it. You just press it each time and it works. Ah, okay. Gotcha. What you will need to do, Wolf, is probably make your cave first. A cool way of making the cave is you just, for instance, can use the rock tool. Maybe not so noisy, but whatever. You can use the rock tool and you make some random thing like this. Then this, you copy it, you bring it inside your mountain, and this is gonna be your cave. You go to paste and select, and then you delete. So now you have a cave that doesn't look bad in shape. We will need to like maybe paint this a little bit so that it's not all dirt. And I don't know, let's do stone, tough, deep slate. Something like that. So then yes, when you bring your house from here, now we don't need to copy with air or anything, we just copy. We go to the mountain and we paste it in without air. Right there, I don't know. Hope that works. I think I'll overcomplicate the process, trying to do everything at the same time. Separate will help a lot. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, separate it. Every tip, I think the best tip that you can get is separating. Separate everything. Also, I should have changed this. I'm just gonna change it now because we can, but because we are on the Q&A part. We are not more on the painting, but it's fine. Any tips to do shading gradient on the mountain? Yes. Highlight, welcome in. Muchas gracias. No problem, Wolf. Yes, shading or gradient on the mountain. Okay. You know what? Let's use this one. Let's say this is your mountain. I will say the best way involves two steps. First step is to color code it. Basically, you want to separate with this angle mask 9045. You want to separate the flat areas from the vertical areas of the mountain, like that. Then, if you want to shade it, what you can do, then we target the vertical walls. And here we can do, for example, the gradient tool inside the painter tool. Here we can change it to gradient mode. And here we can choose a gradient. Let's choose something similar. You know what? Let's use one of the palettes that we made. That's why we made them. Let's use them. Let's use this one, for instance, from Dead Brain Coral to Tough to Acacia to Pale to Deep Slate. We can use this gradient. So then we go to the mountain. We select the red. Let's hide it. And then we can paint with this gradient. Very beautiful. Trying to get those highlights and shadows. that. This is a very cool way of texturing the mountain. You can do it diagonally, you can do it horizontally, depending on what you want. And then we do something similar with the green. The green, we can change it with the noise painter to something that is like maybe green wool, moss, maybe some melons, because why not? And we paint with that to add some texture to this. Or if you don't want it to be green, it can be snow, for instance. Painting with snow, a bit of diorite, a bit of calcite. So that would be a cool way of quickly texturing the mountain. Have you ever made hams? I've done a long time ago. They are difficult. Yeah, it's always gonna be a struggle, honestly. Always gonna be a struggle. Let's play Flex. Yeah, I'll be there in a second. We are just wrapping up. Okay, guys, I think we are done. We went through the three things, through the planning, through the painting. I don't want this ball to be eternally long, so we are gonna wrap it here. Planning, colors, we did a bit of that, and Q&A, I think we answered a couple. La mejor forma de hacer terraforming. Depende de lo que querés, Julio. I think the easiest, la más fácil, es como hicimos recién con Elevation. Esta herramienta es la mejor. O la más divertida. Pero hay otras formas. You know, you could do surface only mask? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But now, before wrapping up, I do have a question for you guys. I liked doing this. I hope you found the tutorial, class, whatever, however you want to call it. I hope you found something useful. I think you did. I do want to make another one, but I'm probably gonna make a poll on Discord eventually. But I wanna ask you guys what you prefer the next one to be. If doing more like maybe like an advanced version of this, adult version of this, more basically more tricks, more specific tricks of building. If we want to do one axiom, I think this is the next one that we need to do, an axiom one. But if we do axiom, I want to know what you prefer. If it's axiom basics, I feel like that would be the good way to start with some axiom basics of like these tools and all that. Or if you wanna go, we can do axiom terraforming. Maybe all of them, but what would be the one that we want the most? I would love for you to review some of your fan speeds. Oh, definitely. We can do that as well. We can do that as well. Did you post something? Ooh, I like that organic. That a dragon. Ooh, okay, Ark. I like it. We can do... I'm definitely gonna consider doing a class where we are all on the same server. We can work on a project and I can go around, so definitely. Terraforming. Hey Eternal, welcome in. Yes, okay. I take that yes to everything. Which cave tutorial that looks exactly like the reference I showed you. Love that reference, by the way, like, but it seems complicated. Terraforming. Okay. I'll still ask on Discord, but we can do terraforming. Can I learn how to add detail to build and how much detail and everything about detail? Is there a tip that I can give you with that before we wrap up? I don't know. I would say the best way to know what is too much detail is following a reference. See how much find something that inspires you for the build that you're doing and see how much detail that has for the style that you're going for. And do that, and also maybe try to see if you can tell a story through the detail, right? Because adding detail just for the sake of adding detail, sometimes it's not enough. If you manage to tell a bit of a story with some of the detail that you're adding, maybe that can make that piece of detail more valuable. So you don't have to add a lot, but maybe think more of the meaning of it. That could work, I don't know. Box axiom and large terraforming would be very helpful. Okay. If it was a question before, but I can't really learn gradient tool. Like, I don't know where to draw the line. You have to try 10 times before it really gets good. Asu, I will tell you the truth. I also struggle with that. Gradient tool is not my favorite for that reason. I recommend you try this one instead. The painter tool in gradient mode over here. This one works so much better. You have so much more control. It depends on how big you have your radius set up. If you have a small radius, it's gonna make a small gradient. If you have a big radius, it's gonna be a big gradient. If the shape is a cube, it's gonna make cube gradient. It's good for paths. They connect. That's nice. But the gradient tool itself, the way this one works, and this is the last thing that we see today, I promise. And then we wrap the pod. Hey Kath, thanks for the follow. Okay, but I'll take anything aside. Thanks for the class. Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed it. The gradient tool. The way it works is you press one click, then you let go. Then you set the next one. But when you set the next one, you click and hold. And then you drag in the opposite direction towards the first click. And that creates your gradient. So I click first here, second here, and then I drag there. If I click here instead, then I click here and I drag here, it does the gradient in the opposite direction. That's kind of what you need to understand for it to work. It's first click, second click, and drag. First click, second click, hold, and drag. If I go to the other side, it's still gonna paint with white. If I go here, it's gonna paint with the other extreme. So the gradient is gonna work only between the 2 points. So if you click in a very short amount of time of space, the gradient is gonna be smaller. If you click on a larger, the gradient is gonna be larger. Then the difference between nearest, linear, and Bezier, it doesn't matter too much the difference. The important thing is linear is the best. It basically, if you use nearest, it does this very sharp. Let me change the blocks so you can see the change more accurately. Near makes these very sharp transitions. Linear has a more smooth transition. It does this like mixing in between. And Bezier, it's a very noisy mix. So between linear and Bezier, choose the one that you want. And the other difference is the shape. You can do sphere, and this one's gonna make a spherical gradient like that. Thank you. Hope that helps. It's difficult. It's difficult to get it do exactly what you want, but you know, with some trial and error, you'll get it. I miss Axiom, haven't played since. Oh no! That sounds bad. Yeah. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out today. Thank you for the questions. Hope you found them useful. We'll definitely do this again with some Axiom then. Whether that's Axiom Basics or Axiom Terraforming, we'll do it. As we said, the VOD is gonna stay on YouTube. If you're not in the Discord, that's where we kinda keep in touch for all this stuff. Thank you for the class. Thank you, Asu. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Probably I will be streaming again tomorrow on Twitch from the hardcore or something else, depending. My voice is dying. Cannot talk anymore. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Let's wrap stream on YouTube.